Okay, in case you get a phone with a sound problem, you change the speaker, there is no sound. You try to check the area of the speaker, like where the speaker is connected to, there is no sound. Where next do you have to check? So in this video, we are going to study the sound circuit of a mobile phone. You might be wondering, how can you identify the sound circuit and all that stuff? So for those who have gone through my courses, they know how to identify this. They know how this circuit functions in the schematic level, how they can troubleshoot using schematics. But I'm going to make this video. This will be a free version of my online courses, so that those who are still to get the courses are going to learn from this and use this method to solve sound problem. Then when they get the courses, they're going to learn the advanced, like the schematic method, like understanding how they can find all the pins that are connected, what all the pins mean, like finding the signals and the signals between the sound IC and the CPU, because the sound IC and the CPU needs to communicate to produce the sound that you get from the speaker. Okay, so going straight to the point, this circuit here is the sound circuit. And for you to solve sound problem in a mobile phone, we are not going to talk about changing speaker. That's just the basic. Every technician should know how to do that. But what if you change the speaker and yet there is no sound? What if you change the lower PCB that the speaker is connected to and there is no sound? What if you check the connector that connects the main PCB to the daughter board that the speaker is connected to, but yet you see no open circuit in the connector, which means that the circuit is okay, which means that the speaker is okay, the small motherboard is okay, and the flex that is connecting the main PCB to the small PCB are all okay. Now, what do you have to check next? The first thing that you will have to check, you will have to locate the sound circuit on that mobile PCB. And in this mobile PCB, we have this sound circuit. And before I go on explaining the sound circuit and how you can easily solve sound problem using this circuit, I want you to understand that not all mobile phones will have this sound circuit. Yeah, mobile phones like you see some Chinese mobile phones like Itel mobile phones, most of them do not have the sound circuit because the sound IC is being integrated. The sound IC is being integrated with the power manager IC, same as the microphone. Most microphones of most mobile phones are being integrated with the power manager IC. But in this video, we are focusing on sound IC. So you change the speaker, there is no sound, the motherboard is okay, the flex is okay. What next do you have to check? You have to locate the sound circuit. And from my lessons, I see every sound circuit, you will see these two filter components. They can be coils, which are inductors, or they can be low value resistors. So keep that in mind. So from these coils, so these two coils here are filtered coils that filters the sound that is coming out from the sound IC and going straight to the speaker. You understand? Which means that after checking the connector and the flex, the charging PCB and the speaker, they are all okay. The next thing that you will have to check, these two filtered coils, because once the sound leaves the sound IC, the other side passes through this coil, the other one passes through this coil, which means that the first thing that you will have to check, if there is any open circuit in these low value resistors or coils or inductors. You understand? So these components have to beep in both sides, which means that all you have to do to test, you have to set your multimeter to continuity test mode, and you have to test them like this, side by side. They have to give a beep, they have to give a reading this way. You understand? So if you test like this, it's supposed to give a beep. If you test like this, it's also supposed to give a beep. And when any of them do not beep, that means that it's broken. It's supposed to give a beep, because even if it's an inductor, it's supposed to give a beep. Even if it's a low value resistor, it's supposed to give a beep, because they are just like fuse connecting the output sound from the sound IC to the sound speaker. You understand? Okay, so when you test and you see that both of them are okay, they're reading, what you will need to check, you have to check for open circuit between the other end of the sound filters with the connector, with the main connector of the PCB. So Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the main connector of the PCB, right? So you have to check if there is any open circuit, inner PCB open circuit, inner layer open circuit between this connector and the sound filter. So if I come back here, I'm going to explain how you can test this. So if I come back here, the best way for you to test this, you set your multimeter to continuity test mode. One probe should be on this side of the filter. Then this other one, you have to test all the pins in the connector that is connecting the main PCB to the lower PCB where the speaker is connected. You have to place one probe in this filter, then use this probe to test all the connectors. If in case I'm not going to make use of the guideline of this PCB, because I know that most people do not have this, and if you learn this without using the guideline as a shortcut, you will easily understand. So I could easily click and every line will show here, but I'm not going to do that, so that you can learn and understand better. So you have to place it right here. Then use this and test all the pins in the connector that is connecting the main PCB to the small PCB where the speaker is connected. And if you don't hear a beep, that means that this line is not reaching that connector, or this line is not reaching the small PCB where the speaker is connected, which means that all you have to do, you can just jump. The simplest way to do this, you can jump 2 cables from here directly to the speaker. You understand? So that's when you have checked and there is an open circuit and you don't know where you can jump at the open circuit to apart from the speaker. You can just jump at this directly to the pins of the speaker from both of these ends. So which means that you can just perform a test, like do a quick test, just connect the 2 speakers to this point and see if you will get a sound. But if there is no sound, then the next thing for you to check, you have to check the power supply of this circuit. You understand? So you have to check the power supply of this circuit. And looking at this PCB, we have a power manager IC here. And this power manager IC is one of the power manager ICs in this mobile PCB. So for you to look at the power supply of this sound circuit, you need to understand that sound circuits of mobile phone, they either use a PMU power supply or a VPH power supply. They don't use a standby power supply like a VBAT. Keep that in mind. So which means that all you have to do, you have to switch on the phone. When you switch on the phone, you have to look at this. You see these bigger capacitors here. They are mostly the one getting the power supply of the PCB. So mostly you have to check voltage in these bigger capacitors here, and you need to get at least 2.5 volt in these capacitors, 2.5 volt to 3.5 volt. So if you see that 2.5 volt to 3.5 volt is getting into the sound circuit, that means that that's okay. The sound IC is getting the power supply that it needs, which means that the next thing that you will have to do is to change the sound IC. But that's not all. Like I said, this is a free version, and the bigger version of this lesson is in my professional level course. You understand? Which means that there is still something for you to check. You have to check the signal. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the sound circuit needs to communicate with the CPU. You have to check the reset signal if they are okay. You have to check all the circuits, the lines that are connected to the sound IC to get that sound that you are looking for. You have to check them and troubleshoot them using your schematic diagram before you go on and change. But for this level, if you have just this knowledge that I'm giving you right here, when you check the input and you see you are getting the input, you can just go on and change it so that you won't get confused trying to troubleshoot what you don't know of. And if you want to get my courses, you can send me a message using the number. My courses are on a huge discount right now. You can send me a message using the number on the screen. We'll check my courses and purchase them from the link in the video description, pin comment, or check the link on my bio. So thank you. Follow for more amazing videos.